If you're in a rush, you're probably not ready for it. I know that's frustrating to hear, especially when you feel like you've been waiting forever, when you're doing everything right, but you still don't have the result. But what if this waiting period isn't punishment? What if this moment is the key to everything you want? What if the reason it's not here yet is because you're still learning how to hold it? So instead of trying to force or rush your way forward, what if you actually sat with where you are? And I get it, because I used to be the same way. I used to feel like if I wasn't actively fixing something, I was falling behind. Like I had to rush through my healing, rush through the discomfort, because sitting in it felt unbearable. I remember a time when I was trying to manifest something really specific. I was doing all the affirmations, the meditations, the scripting, but deep down, I was just trying to escape where I was. And because of that, my reality just kept reflecting more waiting, more lack, and more frustration. The more I tried to escape my emotions, the more they repeated themselves in different situations, because that's what happens. Life is constantly mirroring back what we haven't fully faced. Now, understanding the illusion is very beneficial because a lot of people feel stuck right before their breakthrough. And I want to make something clear. Feeling stuck and actually being stuck are two different things. You're never really stuck. You're either one, resisting where you are, which makes it feel like you're not moving, or two, you're just growing in ways you can't see yet. But because you don't see proof, you assume nothing is happening. But something is happening. Think of a plant growing underground before it breaks through the soil. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean nothing is changing. The only thing keeping you in the same loop is the belief that you're stuck. And what do we know about beliefs? They're not facts, they're just stories we tell ourselves, which means they can change. Now, the reason why rushing is going to create resistance is because on a subconscious level, rushing comes from fear. It's the belief that if I don't hurry, I'll never get there. If I don't force it, it won't happen for me. And if I slow down, I'll just fall behind. But that energy is exactly what is keeping your desires just out of reach. Think about the times when something finally worked out. Did it happen when you were panicked, forcing, or pushing? Or did it happen when you finally let go and allowed it to come to you? Now, the paradox of letting go is actually quite a funny story, and I had a client who was dealing with intense self-doubt. She just kept saying to me, I just want to get rid of it. I just want to feel confident all the time. She thought the doubt itself was the problem. But I told her, confidence isn't about never feeling doubt. It's about not letting doubt control you. So instead of running from it, we did something different. We sat with it. Now, I guided her through a process where she actually felt into the fear. Instead of pushing it away, she asked, what are you trying to show me? And then something clicked. She realized that her fear wasn't actually about failure. It was about what failure meant to her. She believed failure meant rejection, and rejection meant she simply wasn't good enough or she was unworthy still. And that's why she kept feeling stuck, because she was avoiding the real wound underneath it all. But once she saw it, not as a threat, but as an old story, she could finally let it go. Not by forcing it away, but by simply understanding it. And you know what happened? Within that week, she got exactly what she'd been struggling to manifest. Not because she forced it, but because she finally stopped resisting where she was. The difference between surrender and avoidance is something that I really want to clarify. Because surrender isn't about giving up. It's not about saying, oh well, I guess I'll just sit here and do nothing. Surrender is about shifting from force to trust. This is where a lot of people tend to get stuck because you simply think ignoring the 3D is the same as avoiding circumstances out of fear. It's not. Ignoring the 3D means not reacting to it, holding faith in your internal reality over external appearances. But avoidance is when you refuse to face what's coming up because it's uncomfortable. And if you're avoiding it, it still has more power over you than you realize. So where is your urgency coming from? Instead of rushing past this moment, ask yourself, where is this coming from? What parts of me feel unseen? What am I so afraid will happen if I just sit with this feeling? Because the second you actually unpack that, you'll realize this is about being comfortable in your body, making sure you're regulated, and coming back into your power. Reality isn't random. It's responding back to you, reflecting exactly what you're putting out. You want to keep in mind, you are an electromagnetic being. Electro being the output, what you're projecting, magnetic being the input, what you're attracting. So if you're resisting your current timeline, life is going to match that resistance. But if you relax into it, stop fighting it, and ask, what is this teaching me? Things actually start to speed up. The moment you stop resisting is the moment things begin shifting. This is why focusing on gratitude, on the present, on the good, even in small ways, creates momentum. Because if your focus is suffering, you just get more suffering. If your focus is expansion, you will get expansion. There is a very fine line between sitting with your emotions versus actually staying stuck in them. Accepting what is versus using acceptance as an excuse to stop growing. Holding faith in your inner reality versus avoiding the external simply because it's uncomfortable. When you avoid something, it still has power over you. But when you face it head on, it completely loses its grip. True alchemy comes after acceptance. You cannot transform something you're still running from. Now I want to show you how to actually sit with your emotions instead of running from them, or if you're feeling stuck, how not to sit in them and allow it to become your identity. So I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Really feel your body in this moment. Now I want you to bring awareness to whatever it is you're feeling, whether it's fear, doubt, frustration, or impatience. Just notice it. Instead of trying to fix it, just observe it. Where do you feel this in your body? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? Now, instead of resisting it, imagine sending it love. Not to change it, but just to hold space for it. Breathe into it and let it be there without judgment. Let it exist without needing to be solved. Now, when you do this, you'll start to see your emotions shift on their own, not because you forced them to, but because you finally allowed them to be seen. When you do this, you're not just thinking positive, you're actually changing the way your nervous system responds to discomfort. This is how you actually change your reality, because your reality is your mirror. If you're projecting lack, impatience, or fear, your reality has to reflect that back. But when you shift into peace, trust, and certainty, your reality speeds up to match you. This is why people who just stop caring suddenly get what they want. It's not that they don't care, it's that they just stopped clutching to it. They just stopped repelling it with resistance. So my question for you is, what would happen if instead of forcing, you trusted? Instead of rushing, you relaxed into the process. Instead of fearing the worst, you now expect the best. Because the moment you do this, The moment you actually stop resisting is the moment everything begins shifting. And when it does, it's not going to feel like a struggle. It's going to feel natural, like it was always meant to happen, because it was. Your reality is not punishing you. It's simply guiding you. This is the shift. When you stop making fear the enemy, it stops being something you have to fight. When you stop resisting your reality, it stops feeling like something you have to escape. I was talking with another client the other day who was ignoring her 3D reality like everyone was telling her. She had been in a place where she wouldn't check her bank account or check the mail in fear of seeing something that she didn't want, and that her reaction was just going to cause more of this. But when she finally faced it and swapped her reaction to it, she leaned into the fear doing this process, and she was able to then feel grateful, knowing it was going to change and that the abundance was her birthright. And now she's doing $20,000 months in her business and getting spoiled in just so many ways just by simply shifting her response from avoidance to surrender. So if you're in a rush, slow down, sit with it, let it teach you, because the way out is always through. So today, instead of pushing, sit with it, let it be, and see what happens. Now, what's something you've been rushing? And how does it feel when you choose to slow down and go inward instead? If this video helped you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I have meditations and free courses to help you even further in any stage that you may be in. I love helping you shift, and I love hearing all of these amazing successes. You guys really blow my mind every single time. I really love being able to help you shift your mindset and manifest with ease. So I will see you next time, angels.